All right, Stephen King Saturday. Let's do this. This I watched like 2 weeks ago or a while ago. I meant to do this, but it is what it is. Anyways, so The Lawnmower Man, a movie that I grew up on, and this one's a little different than the one that I watched as a kid. Now, I don't know what the difference is here. This one is New Line Platinum Series, widescreen version converted from the blah blah blah. It says that it has, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into why there's such a famous scene missing from this. But, so, in the version that I grew up on, there's an ape or a chimp or whatever, and he's called Cyboman. And Cyboman was like, he comes to Job's place, and the cops gun him down, and he's trying to protect him, and all this. This was not in this fucking film. This was not in the version I watched, which I don't understand. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm super unsure of why it's not in here. In this version, the Cyboman of this, he is just in the facility that he's trying to escape from, and he never makes it out of there. They just kill him while he's there. So that was really jarring to me, and I was like, where is that scene, and what is this? So I grew up on the other version, but this isn't saying it's some different cut of the movie. So yeah, I'll probably have the answer by the end of this, by the time you guys see it, but I don't get that. Because when I was a kid, we actually named our cats after this movie. And one of our cats was Cyboman. So, where the fuck is it? And then the other two cats' names made no sense because we didn't think we were going to keep them. I didn't name them, but we had Cyboman, Cybowoman, and Cybo King. Those were literal fucking names of our cats. So, yeah. We just watched Lawnmower Man, and someone was like, why don't we name him Cyboman? And then they were like, well, then I guess this is Cybowoman. And they're like, well, what does that make him? And he was like the biggest cat, and they were like, I guess that's Cybo King. And it just stuck, and they lived the whole rest of their lives with that name because we did end up keeping them. So yeah, as a kid, I had 3 cats named from this film. And then I go to watch this version that I have, and it's not fucking there. So, leave the comments in the, or leave a comment in the comments below if you know what happened to that scene. So, Jeff Fahey plays Job, and Pierce Brosnan plays Lawrence the Doctor. Now, I know another thing we should probably discuss here is that Stephen King had his name removed from this film. So, there is no true connection to Stephen King with this one, but it was supposed to be a Stephen King thing, so I've always counted it as such, and I will be covering Lawnmower Man 2, Job's War, next week. I have already watched it. It took me like 6 viewings to get through. It's so dumb. But I will be talking about it. I have the notes right here. So, alright, so the movie. Let's talk about it. In the opening, we get them talking about VR being the future. I 100% agree. This movie really is ahead of its time in that way, especially since the VR headset in this straight up looks like an Oculus. Like, straight up. And they're experimenting on this chimp, and they make him like Robo-Chimp, or Cyboman, which we don't hear in this movie. It's so weird because he has the Cyboman comic book and everything. Like, what happened to that scene? It's so weird. It's so weird that it's not here. Does anybody remember this scene? I mean, people did, because when I posted about it, people were like, oh, Cyboman. Although they called him Cyboman, my memory of it as a kid is Cypo with a P, Cypoman. But Cyboman, I guess, cyborg, Or yeah, I don't know. Is it Cybo? I thought on the comic book it said Cypo with a P. If not, we have we named our cats three different versions of the wrong name, which is just too funny. So I was really looking forward to seeing that scene in the movie, but it wasn't there, so I couldn't compare and contrast. And I did not look for it after I watched it, and I haven't thought about it in weeks since I watched it weeks ago. Cyboman, or Cyboman, can see like the predator in this. I thought that was noteworthy, I guess. And VR is said to unlock the potential of the human mind in this. Yeah, I mean, the drugs that he's giving him can, which they do, and that's like what he's doing here. Now, here's a problem I have with this movie, because I think Jeff Fahey is one of the most underappreciated actors. I love him. I've loved him forever. I mean, all the way back to Psycho 3. So I always love seeing him, and I think he does a fantastic job here of being like this real simple-minded, mentally handicapped Job, and then like the dark, sinister, brilliant, mastermind, evil Job. He plays both of those roles so well. I actually quite like this movie a good amount. I thought this held up pretty well. I mean, obviously the CG's extremely outdated. It almost reminds me of the Lawnmower Man. Somebody told me that they actually took the scenes of VR from this movie, kind of out of another thing. He told me what the title was. Mind's Eye. That's what it was. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they're dated for sure, but that's fine. I don't care. That's, product of the time. I think this is a cool movie. The problem I have, and I shouldn't say like a problem, like it's a negative towards the movie. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I shouldn't say it's a negative, but it's like it irks me, but maybe not in a bad way, is that Pierce Brosnan's character, Lawrence, totally gets to get away with this and gets the girl in the end. Like, the dude was experimenting on his mentally handicapped neighbor. He took a mentally handicapped person and was doing lab and science experiments on him, shooting him up with shit that isn't tested, that they don't know what it is. This is fucking beyond insane. This is Nazi shit. This is crazy. And he totally gets to get away with it in the end and gets the girl and runs off. Like, what? No, he should have burned with that building. And he should have wanted to burn with that building. Like, I should have never done this to you. This is my fault. Like, yes, they could say, like, oh, the Weasley little guy gives him, this and that. I don't give a shit. You should not be experimenting on anybody, but especially a mentally handicapped person. I mean, they're basically children, right? Like, what are you doing? No, absolutely not. So the fact that he gets to get away in this, fuck that. He even sees his neighbor. This guy, Lawrence, is a total piece of shit. He sees his neighbor beating the shit out of his kid and his wife next door, and he does nothing about it. Nothing. He's like, not my business. If you see your neighbor beating his wife and her kid, it's your fucking business. It's everybody's fucking business. What are you doing? Get over there. Call the police. Walk over. Say you're a fucking witness. I would. Oh my good. I would. Shit. I don't even think I'd call the cops. I'd just kick the door in. Whew. Job lives in this, this little house in the back of like a church. And this priest is taking full advantage of him. I don't think that they're implying that this priest is fucking him. I almost feel like he's getting off on the control, right? Because I'm sure this guy has to take some kind of amnesty pledge where he's decided I'm just gonna pretend I don't have a dick. I wonder how kids get molested in churches. You can't repress human sexuality. Anyways, but he's like making Job, do penance or whatever the fuck. He's making him. He's coming in, he's whipping him, he's making him do these Hail Marys and everything. And Job just is definitely getting a raw deal in this, right? He's such a sweet guy. He just loves mowing lawns and reading comics and hanging out with his buddy. And, he's got a priest beating him. He's got a fucking, a doctor experimenting on him. And I don't know how to feel about the girl next door. I guess she doesn't really start to have an interest in him until he's normal, And I don't really know how I feel about that, any of that. So I don't know what my feelings are on her and their relationship. But once he's of sound mind and is competent enough to make his own decisions like he is once he's smarter, then yeah, I mean, they can fuck all they want. What do I care? And let's see. 8 minutes took 7 people 8 months. Oh yeah. So the 8 minutes of CG in this film took 7 people 8 months and $500,000 to finish. The guys that do the CGI today could do this movie's, CG in about 4 seconds for about $5. And Lawrence's wife in this is being ignored and bored, so she just straight up leaves. She just real early on in this, she's just like, I'm out. And she never comes back. You never see her again. Which I was like, oh wow. I expected to see her in some capacity, but nope. And she just wants him to live in reality. And he's just obsessed with VR. And I do feel like this is potential future here. I do. I have an Oculus Quest 2. And it's amazing. And it's not even this much of the potential. Nothing even close to what it's going to become. Where it's at right now is incredible. Where it's going to be in 20 years from now, I could see it replacing life. Reality. For a lot of people. A lot of people are just going to be like, why would I want to go out in the world when I can do this? Especially if they can do their jobs and stuff inside VR and they can look however they want and they can do whatever they want. And kids can go into VR and they can, I think classes on, school will become VR. And imagine the applications. Imagine the potential. It's limitless. It really is. I personally am a huge advocate for it. I think that putting kids in these classrooms that have no limits, and they're going to sell it through fear at first for sure. They're going to be like, well, you're going to know where your kid's at. He's at home. He's safe. He's just in his room. And kids are, you're not going to have to fucking, they're not going to have anything. It'll cut down on a lot of usage of materials, right? You're going to be able to make everything in VR. And kids, are you serious? You think kids are going to fucking want to go out and play in the park when they can jump on the back of a dragon and fly through a city with a machine gun turret mounted to the back and they have some fucking Playboy model on their shoulder? Yeah, go play with a stick. We already have enough problems getting kids off their phones. Imagine when it's strapped to their face and it looks like reality, but the reality they create, and they get to go out, hang out with all their friends, and then they go to school. And when they get to school, the teacher's like, here, we're going to learn about ancient Rome today. Come with me. And he takes them to ancient Rome, and they're walking around in Rome, and they're picking up shit all throughout Rome and looking at it, and it's telling them all the information about that kind of pottery or that kind of, dwelling or any. How are you going to compete with that? You wouldn't even want to compete with that. It's so cool. It's so cool, and it would keep kids so engaged. They would be like, whoa, this is so cool. Everything would be so interesting and intriguing. And then yeah, your kid's just gonna be in his room, and he's just gonna, you're not gonna have to buy him anything. He's gonna be able to make everything in the world around him. I'm gonna have this whole movie collection behind me in VR, and I'll just be able to take them off the shelves. And then when I take this off, there's not gonna be anything in my house. That's awesome. I know some people are like, that sounds awful. I love it. I love it, and I can almost guarantee you it's the way we're heading. But we shall see. There will definitely be a huge fight about that, though, about what's reality and what, people saying, well, you can't tell me what my reality is. In this world, I'm this person and blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, VR. I'm always thinking about it. Yeah, I don't believe that people would just stand by and watch like kids abused, but who knows, man? People like film shit on their phones, right? Like kids are being beaten and people just have their phones out filming them. So what do I know? I sure as hell wouldn't. And yeah, I already talked about a lot of this. He got laid, didn't go poorly. Yeah, he got laid in this, and it actually didn't go bad. Like, it just kind of cuts, and they're good. So I thought it was going to go poorly. I thought he was going to freak out. I thought he was going to be weird. I thought, like, she was going to be like, you never done this before. Like, he seems to kind of be a stud. So, good for him. I'm glad that, he was able to experience that, because if he stayed Job, I don't think he would ever got to experience that. So, yay for that at least. Lawrence got him laid. He's got that going for him, but he still shouldn't have been experimenting on him. And he also gets to start being able to hear others' thoughts, which is wild. It's almost like that's the sixth sense we're missing, and Lawrence is able to tap into that part of our psyche. Wouldn't that be wild? I wouldn't want to hear people's thoughts. Oh, I don't want anyone hearing my thoughts, that's for sure, because none of us believe half the shit we think. Like, I think all sorts of terrible things, and I don't mean them at all. They're just crazy thoughts that rush through my head, and I'm like, I'll even be like, whoa, where the fuck, what just happened there? Why did I just think that? So if I was around somebody, you would never trust anybody. You would hate everybody if you could hear their thoughts. So no, thank you. And he can also start moving shit with his mind too. So, he's got telekinesis. He's got, the ability. He's got it all, man. He really is becoming kind of a deity. And he ends up scaring his little girlfriend here. He takes her to the VR place, and he scares her so bad that she goes into like some comatose mess of a person. So that's a shame that she had to fall like that. But yeah, when you fuck with people's minds, yikes. And he also mentions that they're unlocking an ancient part of the brain that was lost thousands of years ago. An ancient part of the brain. This is cool. I've always been kind of fascinated with the idea that, I was watching something one time that said that every like shred of evidence that humans ever existed would be washed away from this planet. Like, there wouldn't be a single, like, if we all died tomorrow, there'd be no buildings, there'd be nothing left in a very short amount of time. Like, it would crumble to nothing, the earth would grow over it, and it was a much shorter amount of time than I expected it to be. It was like 10,000 years or something. It was like really, really short in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, it's already been here almost 5 billion years, and it's going to be here another freaking 4 billion years. So 10,000 is not a lot when it comes to billions. So I'm always kind of like fascinated with this idea, if the earth really is 4 point whatever billion years old, that wasn't like 4.65 or something, whatever it is. That if there was another civilization, an advanced civilization on this planet, it could have existed. I mean, multiples could have existed 1 billion years ago and 2 billion years ago or half a billion years ago, and there'd be no trace of them that they ever existed, and they could have had a world like this here on this planet. You know, that stuff's trippy to me. That stuff's fucking trippy to me. So to think that some ancient civilization or something had these powers, and then something happened and we devolved, and lost these things, and he's kind of tapping into what was already there, but that we don't have access to anymore. I love that stuff. That's very intriguing to me to think. Or like we're eventually going to advance to that we're going to have a kid who's born and can hear people's thoughts or can move shit with his mind or whatever. Like that stuff is uber fascinating to me. So there's a lot of really cool, deep, heavy stuff. Like, I want to say in the first, I thought I wrote it down here. I swear I did somewhere, but I don't see it. It was like 15 minutes in. We were dealing with some super heavy shit. Yeah, I don't have it. I swore I wrote it down, but like seriously, in the first like few minutes, like first like 10 minutes of this movie, you've got like a failing marriage. You've got a kid and his mom being abused and beaten by their father. You've got this guy who's experimenting on mentally handicapped people. You've got animal abuse. You've got religious abuse. You've got, I mean, there's so many really heavy, dark scenes in the first like 15 minutes. You're just like so like thrown into it. I swear I wrote that down somewhere, but I guess not. And yeah, when he is in that hotel or whatever, he gives an Uzi to some room service guy and runs off. I was laughing because when he left, I was like, that guy like holds the Uzi like on the area, like these people are coming, and it's like, you probably got that guy killed. Somebody, you know, these trained fucking soldiers probably ran through that door and shot that guy to death the second they saw an Uzi in his hand. So good job. He got room service killed. He got, you know, he got friggin' Job killed. He got, I mean, I guess in a way he got the abusive father killed, but you know, he took a father from a son. He was not much of a father though. So, but this guy is just trash. He really is. He really is just trash. And I like that when Job is wearing the suit lights up, like it has lights all around it. So when he's like active and he's using like that part of his brain, when he's like wanting revenge or whatever, the suit lights up. It looks like something out of Tron. So I dug all of that. And he kind of uses his powers to make people see things, and this guy's there and he like catches him on fire in his mind, but it's like VR fire, and he's like freaking out. That was great. And then he uses a VR lawnmower on some guy's brain and totally just like decimates this guy's ability to use his brain. It's like no more cognitive ability at all. Well, the CG's terrible, but I like the concept of it. And then, yeah, he sends a lawnmower after the abusive dad, which would be so scary. The way that it's portrayed, it's terrifying. And Job's desire here is to become pure energy, which he does at the end of this movie. But of course, Job's war outright ignores that and gives him a body again, which makes no fucking sense at all. The whole point of this is he wants to become part of the, online. He wants to become part of VR. And he does, and his body is done. It's gone. It's burnt up. There's nothing left of it. So why the second one has to bring him into it with a physical body makes no sense. He should have just existed only online. But we'll get to that in the second review, which I'll do next week. And the whole like turning men into little balls thing. I guess this is just in their mind. Maybe I don't know. And he wants to turn the world into the Matrix. Essentially, he wants to be able to control everything and get people all sucked into VR. And yeah, I mean, this is like a prequel to the Matrix. No, the Matrix has enough prequels. This does not need to be one. And let's see. One guy just stuck in a state of fractured. Yeah, one guy just stuck in a state of fractured spherical parts. Yeah, that's the ball thing again. The guy just exists like that now. That's crazy. And yeah, I mean, once he transfers himself into the mainframe, he can't manipulate the physical world anymore. But I guess he'll be able to manipulate the online one, which nowadays would be a really strong ability to have. And somehow the mom of the kid in this falls asleep in the truck like 10 minutes later and lets the kid walk into a building with a bomb and a god who killed her husband inside of it. Like, Jesus Christ, man. You didn't leave your abusive husband. Let him hit the kid and everything, and you. And then you fall asleep on the watch as your child walks into a place where you know this like demigod lives, and there's like a bomb going into that building. You suck. You suck as a mom. You suck as a mom. Lawrence sucks as a doctor. Or a scientist, I suppose. And the reason that Job kind of lets them out is because he doesn't want Peter to die. And the building blows up with the smallest bomb. Like, it's like a small bomb, but the building erupts. I guess they have a lot of combustible things down there, so I guess I'll just say that's what it is. And once Job is dead and all that's happening, we learn that Lawrence has learned nothing. We learn that he's learned zero. He's still, continuing his work. This guy is just, he's the worst. He's the worst. He's like, well, I mean, I had it pretty close, I guess. So I guess I should continue. Maybe I shouldn't take this as a sign. Jesus Christ. And Peter and his mom are running away with Lawrence. So I'm assuming they're going to have a relationship. That's why I said he got the girl in the end. Why they would run off with him, I don't know. Wouldn't they all be just like, this is your fucking fault? They wouldn't be like, oh, save me, daddy. Like, save me, new daddy. But she's not very good at picking men, so maybe it does make sense. And Job makes it out, and the phone calls start coming through around the world like he said they were, and that doesn't really play into the next film at all, because the next film had the opportunity to do something really cool. Job is now part of the mainframe. He's now part of VR, and he can manipulate the world through that, and he could create this chaotic world because of it. But what does this movie do? We'll get there. We'll get there. But I think what makes this movie work is Jeff Fahey. Jeff Fahey rules, and I can watch the guy in absolutely anything. A lot of the characters are just not good people, which is fine because it makes them a little bit more realistic. But you still just want to punch them in the throat. But yeah, so the Lawnmower Man. Do you guys count this as part of the Stephen King collection at all, even though his name is really not attached to it anymore? It doesn't really have anything to do with the story as much. I don't know. I always have, so forgive me if you don't think so. You'll get over it, and forgive me even more for next week. But it gives you enough time to suffer through it if you want. Don't do it. Don't watch it. It's terrible. So anyway, guys, until next week, adios.